This is Judy Lindsey interviewing Zihni Buzo at his home in Armidale on the 15th of August 1998 for the Institution of Engineers Newcastle Division Oral History Program. This is DIS IEA Newcastle JB1. Mr Buzo, to start our interview, could you tell me when you were born and where?
I was born in Albania in 1912. My primary school in Albania was a 6-year school.
Yes.
And it was in different places, as my father was transferred from one township to another.
Yes.
So it was a mixed program. You had freedom to select various subjects. But eventually I got a scholarship from the government to board, and then the government paid the boarding fees. 3 years I was there.
And then I noticed here that you've said that 17 was a turning point in your life.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes. 17 was the holding of the Scout Jamboree in England to mark the coming of age of the Scout movement, 21 years. And there were 50,000 Scouts from all over the world, about 200 from Australia, yes, of whom I have only met one who has been there. I was selected amongst the 6 people, 6 teenagers.
Yes.
And the same director of the school was on the committee. And I learned afterwards from one of the chaps who were keeping minutes that when we returned from the jamboree, we organized a public meeting, yes, to give a report on what we had seen and this chap said, your director was correct. He said, amongst these 6 people, we must have Zihni Buzo, because he will come back and write about it and talk to the people. I went to see the director, and he was in touch with this project all the time, and he was instrumental to a large degree for these people employing me or making it possible for me to go to California instead of finishing at Robert College, because California had courses that special for third world countries and so on, and a bigger name.
Mm. So what happened in 1939? That was another turning point.
Well, then came to Australia. Just a decade, yes, from going to the jamboree and finding this information, which changed my life. Then I had a letter of introduction for the Director of Health in Canberra. Right. Within a week I went to Canberra.
The Oaky hydroelectric project came about because there were power problems.
Yes.
Where were the problems happening? There were power shortages throughout the northern part of New South Wales?
Yeah, all over New South Wales.
All over?
Yeah, all over, yes. Yeah. Because during the war, no new plant was put in, and so the old power stations were deteriorated and so on. Armidale, Walker, Uralla, and the shires, they formed a county council. This council borrowed money to build it and to pay it back. The government in Sydney didn't do anything, didn't contribute any subsidy as they would for water supply. For power, nothing. And so they got together, they made up their mind that they need power. Mm. 1 million pounds.
1 million pounds.
Yeah, in those days. Now it's worth 10 million pounds. 3 shires, 5 years.
5 years.
Started it just the end of 51
Right.
in August.
What did
I
you
was
do?
responsible for everything from
You were
start to
you were in
finish. Yeah,
charge.
yeah, yeah.
It was a big project.
Oh yes, it was my baby. It's
Yeah.
the biggest thing because it's like this project here. It wasn't unwieldy.
Yes.
It was big enough to be interesting
Yes.
and small enough to manage.
Yes.
But you really have to have green lights. Even that one in this school, we had great difficulties to find materials. We had to get the winch from a minesweeper. Go to Newcastle and get the winch because you have to go down to the bottom of the gorge. You see, and things like that. A bag of cement, you had to beg to get a bag of cement for work, and you needed hundreds and hundreds of bags. It was
So supplies were a problem.
Yeah.
And getting the right
supplies, yes, and that was it. I made a film of the whole thing from start to finish, 16 millimeter film.
Did you?
And I showed it because there was a lot of interest. They'd never seen the Rotary Club, the Lions, the Council, and so on. They come and show us, and then the children, our boys, they'll bring they come and see our film.
Oh,
yes, it. During the lunch hour, there was one man with a pick in the riverbed. And someone, maybe it was a Rotarian, my goodness me, so you have reduced your labor force to one man with a pick to build a dam. But
so,
200.
So did you do the design?
Yeah.
You did that too?
Yeah.
So
Well,
you did the design, you supervised it?
That yes, that was the interesting part, that you really had to do all these things. I had a number of engineers helping me.
Yes.
Yes, including a former colleague of mine from Sydney University. There was a complicated analysis that required checking,
Yes.
and then he came
he
up
helped you
here
with
and he found it okay. So the big gates, 28 feet long
Yes.
by 22 feet high.
Right.
They were designed. The design was based on American practice,
Yes.
and it was so simple that these huge gates normally are Goninians in Newcastle and these other places, the steel boiler makers, they make it. They were made in Musselbrook, in a garage, in a workshop.
Were they?
Yes, because the design was so simple. It was made in 4 parts, so that you can carry them to the job, and then weld them in 4 parts.
So they were constructed on the side?
Yes.
Right, okay.
So then one day a friend of ours came to the project, and he said, well, how big is this project? I said, it's a small one. How does it compare with the Snowy? Oh, it would be 1/100th part, of the Snowy. Oh, good. I said, I have just cinched an order for 1,000 hand telephones for the Snowy. Where is your order for 10? Well, I wish I had done that, It's because we did have some anxious moments because we could not communicate. Didn't have any anyway.
Yeah. So that was a real
Yeah.
pet for you.
Yeah.
A real,
Oh, it was. Yeah. It was.
a labour of love.
Yeah. Then the people here were very interested. We had a big opening. About 200 people came here. The minister for local government, Renshaw, and the 2 local bishops and so on. Whoever was somebody that was invited here for the opening ceremony. One of the members of the council, of course, they were there, and one of the members of the council was a doctor, a woman, and she had heard that electricity that is made from water, when you use water, is not as hot in the radiators, don't give off as much heat as when the electricity comes from coal burning.
Oh, right.
And then the lights somehow, she said,
won't be as
not as
strong.
bright. Yeah. And Condi, who was the super man of electricity, he was manager of Balmain Power Company, and he was dragged into the public service and made chief of all the electrical work and given blank checks to just order and put in. He said that he spoke at the gathering there, and he said, Mr. Chairman, I see one of your consumers thinks that electricity from water is not as hot, for radiators is not as hot as from coal, and also that the lights are not as bright. Perhaps you ought to look into this matter. And the people say, oh my goodness me, he doesn't know that this person is just here alongside him. Yeah. So, but there was a lot of interest here. But, old habits die hard, don't they?